Hello and welcome to Teacher Needs a Drink, Episode 9. I am Elvis, your host, and this podcast is a not safe for work podcast. We use foul language and sometimes get a little bit vulgar in our descriptions. We here at Teacher Needs a Drink podcast are teachers who are winding down after a long week, and we're meeting over the weekend to talk over drinks and discuss all of these topics. We love our jobs and we use pseudonyms to protect them. Teacher Needs a Drink podcast is sponsored by Ludlam Dramatics Educational Theater Posters. If you are a theater teacher or you know one in your building, you can get them some great posters and educational materials at ludlamdramatics.com. That's LUDLAMDRAMATICS.com. You can also use the code TNAD15 at checkout to get 15% off your order. What? That's crazy. Also, if you would like to share a story with us or have something you'd like to share with us, you can go to our website, teacherneedsadrinkpodcast.com, or you can tag us on Facebook or Instagram. And also, please follow, subscribe, and leave a 5-star review if you can. One last note before we start this podcast with Rosey Rosee, myself, Elvis, Bunny O'Hare, and Mr. Yoda. The Chicago teachers strike as of last Thursday is over. I'd like to offer a congratulations for you teachers. I know you might not have got everything you wanted, but you did make a difference and you did lead the way, and hopefully a lot of other teachers will be inspired by your example. Good job, guys. And now, on to the podcast. Episode 9 of Teacher Needs a Drink podcast. Cheers.
We here at Teacher Needs a Drink podcast would like to give a shout out to our teacher friends in Dallas and the surrounding areas that were hit by the tornadoes and storms that we had recently. We know that 2 schools are just a complete loss, and another school has been badly damaged. I don't think they're sure whether that one's going to be fixed or not. And these teachers have done what teachers do, and they have regrouped and they have been reassigned to different buildings, and they have done everything that they can to provide normalcy and a sense of comfort to their students. Even though they are stressed out and even though their lives have been affected, they are putting that aside in the interest of their students. So thank you to Dallas teachers, and we love you, and you're awesome, and keep doing what you're doing.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome to Teacher Needs a Drink podcast. I'm Elvis, your host, and of course, with me today, I have the wonderful Rosey Rosee. How are you doing, Rosie?
I'm doing excellent, Elvis. How are you?
I'm fantastic. And across from me, I have Mr. Yoda. Yoda, how are you?
Doing great.
I'm glad to my left, I have Bunny O'Hare. Bunny, how are things?
I'm living the dream, Elvis.
You always are living the dream. I'm so glad to hear that. But you guys probably heard about this. A U.S. school district in New Jersey has banned students who have more than $75 in lunch debt from attending the prom and other extracurricular activities. The school board president of Cherry Hill in New Jersey said the plan struck a balance of compassion while holding people accountable. A local businessman said he would gladly settle the debts and pay for all the debt of students who owed so they could go to the prom, but the board rejected his offer. The prom ban was brought in after previous measures taken by the district were condemned as lunch shaming. In August, Cherry Hill had announced that students behind on payments would only be given tuna sandwiches rather than a full meal. Following a public outcry, the board withdrew the policy, replacing it with the ban on indebteds taking part in extracurricular activities. The district has 19 schools with a total of about 12,000 students, of whom 20% are eligible for free or reduced meals. They'd be happy to solve the issue, but they understand the board has decided not to accept any donation to help with the lunch issues. Now, that sounds like they're just being dicks.
That's some bullshit.
Yeah,
bullshit.
It's not even about the money at that point anymore. It's about doing it to be punitive. If it was a thing where, no, we're strapped for cash, we can't. It's obviously not about the money because they had somebody offering to give them money and they did not want it. So it's just punishing people.
I'm sorry, I almost said they hate poor kids.
Sometimes I feel when it comes to the board, because we're not hearing the principal saying, no, we won't let these kids in. We're not hearing the cafeteria people saying, hey, we don't want these kids to eat. It's people on the school board. And while I think and I'd like to believe all school board members have the students' best interests, a lot of them see it as a business opportunity because if they control the board, they can, referring to last week, have mandatory drug testing. And when you own a drug lab and you can get 8,000 tests guaranteed, guaranteed, that's a lot of money for just sitting on a board. And maybe you might have a grudge against a certain class of people who might not be able to pay for their lunches that week. And fuck them. Let's keep them out of the prom too by, not letting them pay for it. Now, this reeks of bullshit to me. I know there's more, and it's probably not just such a quick cut and dried issue. And maybe I'm quick to go to conspiracy theories. But, just like you said, Bunny, when they offered to fix the money and you say no, well, then it's not about the money. You're just an asshole.
I'll be accused of being a dirty socialist, but I'm willing to pay a little bit more to make sure that no children have to go hungry or miss prom because they can't pay their lunch bill. Prom is a once in a lifetime kind of deal.
Mm-hmm. It sucks.
It does.
Bullshit. So this one submitted online was parent took their kid out of school for Starbucks. Yes, you read that right. Child who is in middle school and has the reading comprehension of a second grader took a half day because the parents were going to a location with a Starbucks. The mom picked him up for Starbucks. And when I asked why, the student replied, "Oh, they don't have Starbucks around here. And I really wanted a grande frap, extra whip, whatever." What? But his mom thinks I'm picking on him for not doing his work. Whatever. Now, there are similar stories, but this particular student is below grade level, absent quite a bit, and the parents pulled him out for a half day so he could experience a Starbucks. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what's wrong with this? I can see by like the frozen smell the fart face that you have thoughts and opinions.
They should not be doing that. That the kid needs to be there. It seems like those are the parents that pull their kids out of school, and for absolutely asinine reasons. There's no reason that couldn't have waited till the weekend.
Exactly.
No reason whatsoever.
Or even, after school.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Or, if you have the energy, you could even take your kid to Starbucks before school.
No.
Or if you want to be an extra special parent, like make your kid's day, bring them the Starbucks to the school.
What?
And they will be a celebrity in the lunchroom because they have a Starbucks when nobody else does.
Also bring one for the teacher.
For the teacher.
The best advice I ever got was when I was doing my student teaching, and it was an older teacher was my mentor. She is, oh my God, I can't use past tense with her. She is an amazing woman, and she's like, whatever you do, make great friends with the secretary and all the admin people in your building, and bring them coffee whenever, and that way when you need a break or you're running late or things, they're a lot likelier to forgive you or not make you sign it or not narc you out to the principal. Like, yeah, he wasn't here at 7:15 instead of 7:30 or whatever. And it kind of goes the same way with these parents. Now, I don't think you need to pull kids out of school for, maybe once in a blue moon, if you have something special going on, you can take your kid out. But if it's just like, you know what, it's Thursday, it's really pretty, we don't need to be in school today. And sadly, that happens a lot more than I think people realize. And there's different levels of it. I've worked with some wealthy families like, you know what, we're going to Disney World this week. That's cool. Yeah, we're doing it every other month. This isn't a special trip. Yeah. This is what you guys like to do. And hey, that's great that you can do it. I wish I could pull my kid out of school all the time, but I'm a teacher, so I can't afford to do that.
Right?
Womp womp.
But I've also seen the other, kind of the darker end of the spectrum. When I first started teaching, I worked in a thing called NovaNet, and it was a computer program, kind of portable building for students that couldn't, for whatever reason, work in a normal classroom setting. And so all of their classroom stuff was done through this, not online, they probably could do it online at home now, but at the time it was a computer network on school where they did their lessons, they had to do stuff. And I had a student who was not allowed to leave with their mom no matter what, because her mom liked to do crack all day or cocaine all day and just didn't want to be alone. And so she would pull her kid out of school just to hang out with her. And of course, because this girl who was very, very young was around all these sketchy people who were coming through with meth and crack and all the drugs, this young girl got pregnant in 7th grade. And we still had issues, even though you think this would be a wake-up call for the mom or for whoever, but it was still like, no matter what, if mom comes, unless it's 3:30, she cannot get her daughter. We have legal documentation.
Oh, my God.
And I mean, people are like, oh, that's completely different. I just want to take them to Starbucks. This is still their education you're fucking with. This is their entire framework for life. They're not going to value any of this if you don't put any kind of anything behind it.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, I am a Starbucks addict. I am a gold card member. I'm just saying, like, I love me some Starbucks, but the message that you're sending to your kids at that point is that school isn't that important. You know, we can take off whenever. And so how are they going to value it if the parents are constantly sending the message that Starbucks is more important than school?
There have been probably like 3 or 4 occasions where I have pulled my child out of school for a non-medical reason, where it's not a doctor appointment. But they have all been things that are very, very important, or at least very important to me, that would be a once in a lifetime or once opportunity. And some of them might be silly. Like when The Force Awakens came out, I let him miss the last hour of school so he and I could experience that together on opening
that's
day.
adorable.
Because that was sweet and I wanted to do that. But that wasn't us missing a whole day of school. It was literally like he missed the last 40 minutes of his PE class.
There again, like that's a family thing that you're doing, and it's once every couple of years. It's not like you're doing it all the damn time.
My children have stayed home multiple times, just cause. You wake up one morning and you just don't have it in you to wake them up. They're so cute and they're asleep, and you don't want to disturb them, and you want your peace, and so they just stay home for no reason because you didn't get them to school on time.
Did you lie about why they stayed home, though, like a doctor's note?
I leave that up to my wife. That's one of those things. But yeah, that's generally my policy would be, hey, he needed to see the doctor, didn't feel good.
But your wife does shift work, and so you had someone home. I think the difference is that I'm assuming that was the case. That he was like, yeah, you guys just... you guys stay at home. You know what? Lord of the Flies, we're gone.
Gotta stay with them.
Yeah.
Call in.
Yeah. No, I think I've just been in the position so long where it's like, you know what? If you're home, I'm missing work. We need this money right now. So you know what? You're going to school, and like I can take an hour off, or I can take a day every now and then. But I haven't gotten to do that. Actually, sounds really enticing. Well, fuck it. You've changed my whole mood on this. Woo! I'm taking my kid out for Starbucks.
Okay, so both of my parents were educators, and I could be dying, but if I could walk, I was still going to school. There was nothing like Starbucks or... Okay, that's a lie. When I was a kid, we did Christmas pageants every year, and it was every single day for a week, and we were up until 2 a.m., starting when I was probably 4 years old. So one of those days, we were allowed to play hooky. Mom took off from school. My sister and I did. But that's it. Other than that, you were always at school.
I think I've taken all of the Star Wars premieres since episode 2 or 3 off from work, or at least taken the morning off and claimed to work.
They're not coming out like every 6 months.
Well, they were for a while. And honestly, that Last Jedi kind of burned me.
Yeah.
I'm not missing work for the new one.
I missed work to go see Pitch Perfect 2.
Yeah, you did, girl.
My teacher bestie and I had kind of bonded over our mutual love for the first Pitch Perfect movie, and we would sing things to each other in the hallway and send quotes to each other, and we had our little inside jokes and stuff. And so when the new movie came out, we both conveniently arranged to take a mental health day that day, and we went and we saw a showing of the first Pitch Perfect movie, and there was bingo and a quote along and a sing along, and it was amazing. And then we went and saw the second one, and it was a whole like fun day. But we did that for Pitch Perfect too.
Would you like me to read it?
It's your game. You're excited about it.
I am excited because the project he was doing sounds really cool. All right, are you ready?
Oh Lord,
Okay.
here we go.
Okay, so it says couldn't call kid on Pornhub intro and presentation. Are you ready? I had a kid do a rap about the Odyssey that he turned into a music video. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
sounds great.
But he included the intro music for Pornhub for the intro to his video.
What? Wait, what?
I looked at him. He looked at me. And he smiled, knowing that I couldn't call him on it.
Oh my God.
You got this one, kid.
Oh my God.
Because What are you going to admit? Yes, I've listened to
Yes,
porn.
I've porned the hub
I've porned the hub.
It was research.
for his rap video for the
No. As
the teacher.
As the
Okay,
teacher.
yeah,
It was research for a thesis I was writing.
and what the youths were into.
Yes.
The youths.
What's corrupting our young people today? I've heard about these interwebs,
These porn hubs.
these porn hubs of porn on the interwebs.
Oh my god, I never got that.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Rosie, oh my God,
You just
Rosie.
described it. I don't know. It was catchy as fuck. I don't know.
You're like, there's naked people and it's free. Click, click, click.
But then you just explained, you're such a good teacher.
Okay, so I had a kid wear a shirt to school one time that definitely had Ron Jeremy on the front of it.
The hedgehog.
How do you
How do you
think
know
you
that's
can
Ron
call a
Jeremy?
kid out on that without? I texted the APs again and let them handle that.
You're like, there's the mustachioed man on this child's shirt.
No, you can go the Miss Sparkles route. Administration's paid more than us. They can handle it.
Amen.
But you know what? There's
out of dress
nothing
code, go to the
wrong for
office.
calling a kid out if they know something. Like, hey, you know about it too? Yeah, I do. I'm an adult.
But how would you handle that? Like, hey, who's on your shirt?
It's my Uncle Jeremy.
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with calling a kid out on stuff, because there's been times where kids have made like a drug reference or something like that in school, like 420. I'm like, yeah, we know what it is. Well, you know what it is. Yeah, I do. You're in
Literally
seventh
everyone
grade.
with a smartphone knows what it
Everyone
is.
has heard of this.
Apparently, I know the ins and outs of porn hubs.
So I'm moving on to something different now. This
Please
one
do.
is a very clever idea submitted online for the best day ever. So at the beginning of each semester, I give my high school students half a period of best day ever in which they are allowed to play any game they want online on my classroom computers. Little do I know.
That's a terrible idea.
Oh, no. Just wait.
Oh my God.
Just wait.
I'm so excited.
Little do they know, I spend this 30 minutes tracking every game site they go to and adding them to the block list for the rest of the year. Only one kid has ever called me out on this practice over the 5 years. That is genius.
Brilliant.
And so the kids aren't going to go to anything that's really explicit because they know the teacher's there. So they're not going to open porn or something.
Like the red light district.
But all of the normal like gaming stuff that they go on that's just going to waste time that all the kids know about get blocked in that one
that's
first
brilliant.
day, the beginning of the semester. This person is a genius. Teacher Needs a Drink salutes you, Mr.
Salute.
Fun to Play 33.
Cheers.
That took a different turn than what I was expecting, and I am in awe. That is evil genius. Oh, I wish
Tech
somebody would
stuff.
have blocked Geometry Dash the year that was all the rage at my campus. Like, ugh. But it's
Really?
geometry, miss. No.
It's a triangle
no,
jumping.
It's not.
Do you not remember those games when we were kids? Well,
I remember
when I
them,
was a
but we
kid.
didn't play them in class.
Old
Yeah, we
fuckers.
didn't have online games. We had Oregon Trail.
But you had one called How the West Was Won.
You died of
ONE,
dysentery.
and it was a math game between a stagecoach and a choo-choo train.
A choo-choo train.
And you had to solve math problems, and you're trying to beat the computer. Nobody?
No.
I forgot.
How old are you?
Old enough to be here.
I have a class that's been driving me insane to the point that I kind of checked out and stopped trying to teach them. Instead of keeping them busy, yesterday they took over and started criticizing my pedagogy. They weren't wrong. They were saying two things very clearly. I don't feel listened to and I want to learn. Okay, this teacher sounds like shit, but I'm going to stick with this because who knows what his situation or her situation
You already
was.
said pedagogy.
Today was picture day, and I lost about half the class to this, so I came up with a plan. I decided when we got back to try a circle. When we were done, we get to play hot potato with the speaking ball. I explained that I had been in their shoes and admitted that I could do better as a teacher. Then I said that they get to talk. Whoever held the ball would be able to speak, and I could not talk until they were done. I literally held my hand over my mouth. The students said that they didn't like the format of the work I gave them. They felt that they needed more direct instruction, that I needed to be stricter. I explained that I needed them to be quiet during direct instruction so I could give it to them and ask for a fresh start. We'll see tomorrow if it really worked, but I'm helpful. Okay, it's starting to get big. Here is the edit this person has added. This is restorative justice, definitely. I'm not fully trained and didn't follow any book or structure, so I didn't frame it as such. I wasn't justified in giving up on this class. I have justifications, but they don't fully do so. This is the only class that I admittedly just stopped teaching, and I justified it to myself as putting my energy where it mattered and not letting the bad class take so much of me that I didn't have anything left for the good classes. I don't know, this guy sounds like a shitty teacher. Well, it goes back and forth. Sometimes there are good people making good points. Sometimes there are people who are just struggling. And you've probably experienced in working there some teachers who have their shit together, or at least have a good idea of what's working, not, and some who are just, you probably be better just not in the classroom. You probably need to be somewhere else. I get having a bad class and one that beats you down and just kind of, you know what, you throw up your hands a little bit, but you really can't let the kids lead the class. You are the teacher. You need to be there. You don't need to be, a dictator, but
Be the adult in the room.
yeah, you are. You're paid to literally be the adult in the room. I'm proud of this person for taking this step of trying to do something.
The only thing that sounded halfway reasonable in there was that he was listening to their feedback.
Right.
Because, that's something I've done before with a class that was kind of not working out was, okay, if what I'm doing is not working, what do you need from me? And then kind of justifying either, oh, that's a good idea, I can implement that, or that's questionable and not something
I'm not going to play Wiz Khalifa every single time you walk in the door.
Exactly.
I've had classes that were unruly, and at some point I'll stop. I'm like, okay, what's going on here, guys? I've tried this. What are you needing? And most of the time when they're just kind of being assholes, or they're just being or they're just in a mood or wild, they won't say anything. That's when they're just quiet. I'm like, really? I'm trying to teach. Do you guys want to do less work? Do you want to just do textbook stuff and nothing else? Do you want to do something more active? Silence. Okay, well, since you don't have anything to add to this, I'm taking over again. You can kindly shut the fuck up and let me teach now.
Laughing while tossing new teachers to the wolves is exactly the sort of tenure privileged crap that makes 40% of our profession wash out within 5 years.
My God.
Snap.
Second year high school social studies teacher here. This is a rant about the thing a lot of us saw and were upset by. So, TLDR, shut the fuck up with the negativity and the laughing at young teachers being too idealistic instead of jaded, cynical jerks. Support your damn colleagues and peers, y'all. It bothers me to no end to hear an, I'm assuming, tenured from the comfort of experience and ease of throwing a peer under the bus, experienced teacher talk about how they dislike their classes, then make jokes about throwing someone with ideals to the wolves with seemingly no intention to support them or give them resources to succeed, like introductions to supportive colleagues, etc. Literally anyone who actually knows education knows that is garbage educational practice. It's exactly this cynical, privileged BS that drives out new teachers. This job is hard. It takes a lot from people, and sometimes you need to take a break. And can I be crazy enough to suggest that the job is hard enough without nasty coworkers hoping you fail? Admins don't always have our back, and students can absolutely be challenging. Parents often don't understand our perspective, and the public at large doesn't really understand this profession. The only people you have that truly have your back are often your department colleagues. And you're damn right that young teachers are idealistic. The best ones temper that with experience, but damn well don't lose the belief that teaching is a blessing and that getting good at it can make it feel easier. Loving this profession and what we do and the kids we work with is not something that we newer teachers need whipped or hazed out of us by cynical colleagues. If you are the type of teacher that is happy pushing young teachers or substitutes to failure and laughing about it, you do not belong in, nor should you continue to be in this profession. Preach it, honey.
Was that in there, or did you add that?
I added the preach it, honey, because damn right, girl. I'm assuming it's a girl. I don't know. Maybe it's sir. Damn right, sir or ma'am or whoever you are. This is hard enough without teachers beating each other up. Oh my God, we need to have each other's backs.
No, that's definitely a thing. I remember teaching my first year and talking to some people, and I'm like, hey, I've got this great idea. I mean, they like, oh, you go have fun with that now. Really? You're just
Not even going
okay.
to listen to my idea.
You're just gonna pop my balloon right there. And what was crazy is a lot of times it kind of worked my first year, and maybe I just got lucky. Maybe I had those right things, but I was like, pessimism isn't really a place. It doesn't have its place in education. It's very, very easy to become pessimistic. It's very easy to become jaded, especially if you're in one of the more challenging districts that might be, Title I or not well funded, or where there's just a lot of challenging cases. But you have to hold on to that. You have to try, and to really burst someone's bubble. What are you gaining from that? What is going to happen? I mean,
If our goal is to do what's good for students, how is running another teacher down helping students?
Right.
I don't understand it.
You have to ask yourself why you're doing the job in the first place.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have a good reason to be there, then of course you're unhappy and you're going to try and make the other people unhappy. But if you are, like you said, there for the students, you want every student, whether it's a student in your class or a student in someone else's class, to get quality education and to have those quality relationships with other teachers. And so you have to build up those new teachers, with your experience. Sometimes it may be sharing, oh yeah, I've had a negative experience and you're going to have some too, but hey, I'm on year XYZ. You'll get there too. We all make it through the tough times.
That saying about a rising tide lifts all boats.
exactly.
It's the more that we help newer teachers succeed, the more the students are successful, the less all of us will struggle. New teachers, veteran teachers, everybody's life gets easier when the students are having their needs met and being successful. Why would you not want a new teacher to be successful?
A lot of teachers and some of the people who get beat down are scared. And when you have a job for a long time, and it takes time to be a teacher, yes, you can be emergency certified, but that's not something that happens in a month or 2 months. Usually people take a couple of years to get into this profession. If you spend that much time doing something, it's hard to admit this might not be the job for me. This is not a happy thing. And change is incredibly scary, especially with something that affects your livelihood. Like, I'm always going to be a teacher, and this was paying my bills. I can't imagine making the jump to something else. And a lot of people, it is not for them. This is not the community for them, or maybe that area is not for them. And the idea of changing without being forced to terrifies them. And so they would rather just sit and be bitter until either change is forced upon them or they just really can't do it anymore. The thing is, some of those teachers end up going, well, I'll just move up. And so they go into administration, and you end up having some administrators like, nope, this is just what we do. You don't get into teaching to be rich. You don't get into it for the money. You do it because you like children, or you like educating, or you like sharing knowledge, and you think you have great ways of doing that. And when you're not inspired to do that anymore, it's time for you to leave. It's time for you to move on. And there is nothing wrong with someone leaving teaching. Now, I think it's sad sometimes when I see a good teacher like, oh, you know what? They would have been great if they kept going, or if maybe administration, or if they didn't have that class or that bad experience with a parent. It's generally sad when you see someone who is good, it's leaving. But there's nothing sad about someone who is unhappy teaching or doesn't want to be teacher leaving. Like, you know what? Go find something that makes you happy. You don't need to be a bitter asshole and work here. This needs to be a positive environment for the kids. They have enough shit in the world, let alone maybe in their personal lives, that could be fucking them up. If you are a miserable teacher and you don't like it, move on. Go into real estate. Drive Uber. Go work at a high-end restaurant. You can make almost as much money and probably be a lot happier, and you won't have to deal with this.
There's no middle ground of, oh, I'm going to be horrible to my colleagues and I'm going to be a blessing to these students. It's not a 50-50. It's you're either there for everybody or you're not.
Yeah, it'll definitely bleed over.
I'm sitting here thinking on the good end of the spectrum of two colleagues that I had. We actually competed against each other. And these two ladies were two of my best teacher friends and two of my best resources, because they were the ones in the trenches with me doing the exact same type of job that I was doing. And even though we competed against each other, anytime we needed help with something like, oh, I just don't know what to do with this class, or, this situation came up with this actor, what do I do? It was always, they were my loudest, best defenders and cheerleaders. And we always, even though we were competitors lifted each other up and helped each other out. And you need that teacher. This job is hard. We need our support networks. And if you're making somebody else's life harder, why? Life is too short to stick in a job. Like, as adults, students out of the picture, which sounds terrible to say because we're teachers, but even for ourselves as teachers, life is too short to be stuck in a job that you genuinely can't stand and dislike. Go find your joy. Go find your enthusiasm somewhere. Don't stick around for something that sucks the life out of you.
Teachers, it's really important. If you are feeling burned out, and I know you might still love teaching, and you should still love teaching, make sure you take time for yourself, take care of yourself, speak to your teachers union, speak to your coworkers and colleagues. Do your best to find a community, make one, even if it's not at school, be it church, social group, anywhere. Find some people you can chat with and commune with so you're not alone and you're not miserable. And if you are miserable, get help. See what you can do.
As a first-year teacher, I'm constantly worrying that I'm not doing my best, especially with my upperclassmen. I feel more comfortable teaching middle school age, but I always doubt myself with my juniors and seniors. Well, yesterday in class, my juniors were openly talking about their grades. I told them I was proud of them because they all scored incredibly well on the last test. It's not like the questions were super easy. They genuinely knew the content. For context, 10 students, environmental science. One of the girls said, "Normally I'm failing science, but this is one of my best classes this year, so you must be doing something right." And I know she just threw that into the conversation out of nowhere, but in that moment, I felt like everything was going to be fine. I'm doing an okay job. The kids are understanding the content and are recognizing that I'm trying my best. I know I'm going to keep doubting myself from time to time, but moments like that are what make me keep getting up in the morning and going to school. That's a lovely moment.
That was lovely.
That's awesome.
All right, my friends. Well, thank you for helping us out. Rosey Rosee, thank you for joining me today. Mr. Yoda, it's wonderful to see you again. And Miss Bunny O'Hare, it's wonderful having you here. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
All right, thank you for joining us for another episode of Teacher Needs a Drink Podcast. Teacher Needs a Drink Podcast will come out every single Wednesday while school is in session. And a big thank you to Miss Rosey Rosee, Bunny O'Hare, and Mr. Yoda, and of course the beautiful, amazing Priscilla for being by my side while we do all of this. Teacher Needs a Drink Podcast is brought to you by Ludlam Dramatics. One more time, if you need theater posters for a classroom, go to ludlamdramatics.com and use the code TNAD15 at checkout and get 15% off your order. If you have any stories to share, you can go to teacherneedsadrinkpodcast.com and reach us through the contact form, or you could just tag us on Instagram or Facebook and we'll be there. Please follow us and leave a review and blah, blah, blah. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Did you just meow? What?
We don't need that kind of distractions right meow.
You right meow. Oh my God. Edit that out. Edit that out.
Tentacle porn.
All right.